Hey everyone, welcome to Office Hours. It's JT here over at Work Daily. So glad to have you all here. I'm going to give the live stream a minute to catch up. I know it always takes a few minutes for you to get here with me. Some housekeeping for those of you that are brand new to Office Hours, never seen it before. This is your opportunity to get your questions answered by me here in real time. The only thing we ask is that you put the word question in all caps. That way I can pick it out of all the chat because you're going to be talking with one another here as well. And then you can write your question out to me. In fact, I'm going to give a shout out to Tim. Tim was one of our first people here, and he has done his question correctly. You see how he has the word question in all caps, and then he has the sentence after that. So that's what you want to do to get your question up here. I will do my best to answer as many as I can while we're here. But if you don't get your question answered, that's okay, because I'm going to tell you about a way that you can get every single career question answered that you want a little bit later here in the show. But for now, I want to get right down to it because I know that your time is valuable and we want to do what we can to help you move your career forward. So the first question that I have here today is from Tim P. Welcome. It says, what is a side hustle? How do you identify one that is right for you? So you guys might have heard, I refer to it as a hobby career personally. Some people call it a side hustle or a side gig. This is a job that's not your primary job or not the primary way that you earn an income to support yourself. And the thing I love about side hustles or hobby careers is they should be more fun in nature. So the pressure's off. It's not about paying the bills. It's about making little money while you're doing something you truly enjoy. And I personally believe that everyone should have a side hustle. In fact, way back in the day, I wrote an article for Inc. magazine about why everyone should have a side hustle and how to get one. And Tim's question about how to choose one that's right for you is a really good one because people often don't know where to start. And my advice to you is to think about this is why I call it a hobby career. Think about your hobbies. Think about your passions and your interests. What are the things that you do in your free time that you do purely because you enjoy them? Things that you bother to study or to train on or get better at. Anytime we're willing to devote our own personal time and energy towards something, regardless of not whether it provides an income, you've tapped into a potential source for a hobby career. Now, once you've identified that, you start to look at ways in which you could earn an income. And it's usually going to break down to selling products or services, meaning selling your services or selling products related to your hobby or your interest. So I'm going to, be funny here and say, let's say you decide that you love underwater basket weaving in your free time. Okay. Well, I'm sure as somebody who has studied underwater basket weaving and you're really good at it, you probably can make some recommendations around the weaving products that you would use or where you like to go do your underwater basket weaving. And out of that can potentially come some kind of income earning opportunity. Maybe you teach a class or you host an event, or like I said, you sell the products or you have a party. There are different things that you can do to earn that income. And maybe you even make the baskets and sell them, right? There's just so many ways to look at it. So it really does start with the hobby first, and then all the ways that people in that, because it's got to be an industry, all the ways that people make money in that industry. And what could you do on a part-time basis, on a flexible basis to essentially support the hobby? And once you do that, you'll be amazed at how much you can do and pull together. I always give a personal example when I'm talking about this. So my hobby career is actually in fitness. I have been a certified fitness instructor for over 15 years. And I decided to get into it after I first got into fitness when I had my first child. And I learned that if I became a fitness instructor, my membership at the gym was free. So all of a sudden I started to do the math. I love being at the gym. I can get a free membership and they'll pay me to work out. Think about that. That worked for me. That made sense. And so I started to pursue this hobby career. And you fast forward 15 years later and I still do it, right? Here I am. It doesn't matter how much work I have in my main job. I've always made room for this side hustle, this hobby career. And it brings me a lot of joy and satisfaction. The other cool thing about it is that 15 years later, I have built a lot of skills up. So if I ever wanted to pivot in that direction and maybe turn my hobby career into something more lucrative or more focused, I have it. So the other reason I think it's a good idea to have a side hustle or hobby career is when things unexpectedly change. For example, we've been talking here at Work Daily about the fact that a recession is coming. It's not a question of when, if, it's a question of when. It will happen. History proves it to us. If you lose your job, would you have some side income? So that hobby career could be a great way to stabilize you in the event of some unforeseen changes to your current career. So lots of good reasons to do this. Tim, I'm so glad you brought it up, and I hope I gave you some insights on how to get started. All right, let's see. What else do we have here today? Let's give some shout outs. Shout out to David Mills. Good to have you here. Hi, Tony. Great to have you here from Russia. All right, Tony, right now I think you win as the furthest person away. For sure. We've got Gregory here. Hey, Gregory. Gregory says, how often do you need to update your resume between careers? Wonderful question. I tell people that at a very minimum, at least once every 6 months, you should be going back and looking at your resume. Now, you're not going to change a ton of the resume, but what one section of that resume are you probably updating? It's your most recent job. Some guidelines that we teach. So in Work It Daily, when you come into our program and you sign up for our membership, you actually get to go to a resume tutorial, and it has a set of templates that you choose as the framework for building it out. We're really big on you understanding how to create and update your own resume. You do not want to have someone else do this. They don't know you. And most of the time when you hire these expensive resume writers, all they're really doing is designing the resume to make you think you feel good about yourself. They don't design them for the intended audience, which is the recruiter. Can't tell you how many times I see people come into our program and they've got these epic long novels, these 3-4 page resumes in 8-point font with way too much text. And I know for a fact recruiters aren't reading them. You really need to know how to simplify your experience down and make a strong impact. White space is your friend. And so we teach you how to do that and why you do that. And so for you, once you've got this optimized resume, now all you have to do is come in every 6 months and take a look at the bullet points, because we limit the number of bullet points. You don't want to just keep adding bullet points of things that you've accomplished in the job. You have to think about, who am I as a professional and what do I most want to be known for? What's my specialty? What's my niche? What are my strengths? If I was to give this resume to somebody and I wanted them to realize that was my specialty, what are the 3 to 5 bullet points that would best represent that? So you're always going back every 6 months to make sure that the best stuff is represented there. And maybe in that 6 months, you've gained a new skill or some numbers have improved or increased or expanded. You know, the number of clients you worked in, the number of money you've saved the company, the size of the projects you've worked on. If these things are related to your specialty, you're going to need to update those. So I say every 6 months, you should be looking at this. But most people, as they get into it and they realize, you know, they get an accomplishment or a promotion or an award or whatnot, anytime there's a significant event, you're going to want to update that. So mark your calendar at least every 6 months, and every time there's new update, some kind of significant accomplishment, you want to go back in there as well. Okay. Very, very good. Let's see. What else do we have here? Hey, Kirby. Kirby says, is there any more disruptive cover letter material other than the course? So, well, the course is pretty comprehensive and has some tutorials in it. But when you join our program and you get the coaching support, what you really do is draft your cover letter for a particular job using our techniques, send it to the coaches. The coaches look through it for you, tell you if it's good, if there needs changes, if you've missed the mark, and you work together until that cover letter is perfected. Then you do it again and you do it again. And eventually you've probably come up with 3 to 4 customized disruptive cover letters that are going to suit the majority of the jobs that you're applying for. And then all you're going to need to do is tweak a word here or there to make sure that it ties to that particular company. So while there are materials, the more valuable piece of our membership when you're working with us is the actual coaching and partnering with the coaches to make sure that your cover letters are good to go. I mean, we do that. I do that all day long. The team does that all day long. That's a big, big part of what we do inside Work It Daily. And we love doing it. First of all, we love reading the cover letters, and because when they're done right, they're just amazing. But it's also just a chance to really help us make sure that you're customizing and standing out for each one. All right. So all the Chad says, I'm a graphic designer and I've been applying places for 3 to 4 months now and no traction. So how can I figure out what is not working? Is it my portfolio site or my resume or what? Oh my gosh, all the Chad. So I love this question. We get it all the time and I never get tired of talking about it. So my guess, I'm going to guess here and you can follow up if you want to, is that what you've been doing is finding jobs where you think you're a fit, taking all this time to fill out the online application, attaching your resume if they tell you to, maybe a cover letter if they tell you to, and then you're not hearing any phone calls. Does that sound familiar to a lot of people out there? I'm sure. This is the number one mistake most job seekers make, and that is they follow the rules the way they think they're supposed to do it. You know, ever since this online application process was built, think about it back in the day of monster.com when they first started about 20 years ago. We've all said this is the new normal. This is the way you do it. You go and you apply online, and if you're a fit, they'll call you. The problem is that all these different companies that you apply to each use a different form of what they call ATS, applicant tracking systems. And when you process your information, there are so many things that you can do without even realizing it that disqualify you. So first of all, not filling in a field and leaving it blank can disqualify you. Filling in a field with a data point that they said they don't want, disqualify you. So let's say you put in a salary range and the salary range doesn't match the one they've put in the system, you get screened out. I guess my point that I'm trying to make here is that there's a reason that studies show that 97% of all applicants, that is an actual stat, 97% of applicants get weeded out of the process intentionally. Only 3% make it through to the human eye where they're then looking at the resume and looking at your application. The systems are built because these companies now get hundreds, sometimes thousands of applications for one job. And that's because we've made it too easy. All you have to do is apply online. And so I say this and people, I kind of cringe when I say it, but we call it the lazy person's job search because it is. All you're doing is applying. And the reality is you're probably not ever being seen. And that is such a harsh thing for people to hear. So I'm sorry that I have to be the bearer of that news. It's terrible to find out that you've spent 3 or 4 months and probably haven't been looking for work. So what do you do about it? You go around the ATS. You have got to have connections in some way to an organization to even have a shot at getting evaluated. And if you want to increase the chances that you get viewed, not to mention if you want to have more control over who looks at your profile, over the kinds of companies that you want to work for, you have to do something called a proactive job search. Now, proactive job search, there's a whole process, and this is what we teach inside the Work It Daily program, where you assess your strengths, your preferences, what you're looking for in the right opportunities, and then you identify the organizations that align with your preferences. So you literally create what we call an interview bucket list. And then you use this bucket list to proactively connect with the people that work there through networking, through referral, through other techniques in order to get in front of a potential hiring manager. And then you use a very specific type of cover letter. We call it the disruptive cover letter, a very specific type of resume that's the 6-second resume, right, that they can read, and a highly optimized LinkedIn profile so that they will then find you and look at you and say, okay, let's have a conversation with this person. This is what has to happen. This is a more intense form of job search, but here's the thing. We have people that are cutting their job search down more than half. They've spent 7 months, 9 months looking for work, and they're coming in our system, and within a few months, they've got a new job. So we know it works. And I'll tell you, anybody that sat around and wasted months and months not getting a job using the lazy strategy, which again, they didn't know any different. So I don't blame you. It's what we were all taught to do. It's what we think we're supposed to do because it's there, but it doesn't work. ATS is broken. So if you want to get a job, you've got to go around it. You've got to use different tools, different resources, different approaches in order to get the hiring manager's attention. And it's worth it, folks. You're looking for a big payout here. Think of it. You're a business of one, trying to land a huge client who's going to pay you thousands of dollars a year. So you've got to put some energy into that to get what you really want. And the upside is there's nothing better than taking control of this process and saying, oh my gosh, I just got an interview at one of my bucket list companies. I just got hired by my dream company. I chose them and they chose me. That's what you're shooting for here. But that's not going to happen if you're just applying online. And so really tough, but so important. I'm going to always drive this home to everybody. If you want to find a job faster, if you want to find a job with organizations you care about, you've got to take full ownership of this and go around the ATS. Okay? All right. I hope that helped. Let's say Sandra says, today marks 1 year since I lost my job. I'm working the job search plan, struggling to find the emotional connections to create my bucket list of companies. How do I overcome this roadblock? Okay, super question. So what is Sandra talking about here? So inside our program, we teach you about this idea of an interview bucket list of companies that you connect with. And she's struggling to find the emotional connection. This is one of the big reasons why people struggle to get hired. I'm going to flip things around for you. I want you to imagine I'm a hiring manager. I'm the CEO of a company, or I'm a leader in a company. And I have to go out and hire somebody for a job. And I have somebody who has the skills and the experience to do the job. And then I have somebody who has the skills and experience to do the job, but they also really like what we do and are enthusiastic about it and understand our customers and understand why we exist. And they almost like geek out on the fact that we're different, we're better, we're faster, we're cheaper, we're whatever. They just get us. They exude this connection that they almost the same kind of energy and thought and feeling that the founder had when they founded the company, that the management team has that's leading the company. Who do you think I want to hire? You obviously know the answer to that. I want to hire the person that really connects with why we exist as a business, because you know what? That internal motivation, that emotion, that positivity that they feel towards us, that tells me they're going to make better decisions. They're going to be more committed to their job. They're going to be able to hit the ground running faster. They're going to get along with people in the office better. It really sends a huge, huge message. You know, I always tell people inside the program that hiring managers hire based on personality, aptitude, and experience in that order. Because it doesn't matter how much experience you have. If you don't have the right personality and if you don't have the right aptitude, meaning you can see why doing it the way the company does it is the right way. If you don't have those things, then it's just not going to be a good cultural fit. And I'm sure you've heard that a lot, cultural fit. So that's why you have to develop this connection. Now, this is unlike anything we've ever done before in job search. And so, of course, it's going to feel new to somebody like Sandra and everybody else who's now being told I have to identify. But you can develop this in yourself. You really can. You can find that excitement once again. And I always tell people a great thing to do is to think about all the things in your life that you really love. You know, what product, and I can throw this out to everybody right now. You ask yourself this, you can put it in the chat if you want to. What product or service are you just a raving lunatic fan about? Think about that. Raving lunatic fan. Like you just love it, love it, love it. You tell everyone to buy it. You tell everyone to use it. What is it? Okay. Now, once you've got that thing, I want you to ask yourself, how did you become a raving lunatic fan? Well, I'm sure you had a problem or a challenge or something you were dissatisfied with. So you had a pain, right? A negative thing. And this company solved it. This company exceeded your expectations. This company surprised you. This company did something that just made you feel so good. You fell in love with it and you became a loyal brand ambassador, so to speak, right? What you had was an emotional connection to what they were selling. And in doing so, that's what made you feel like such a fan. So think about that. I want you to create that for yourself with employers. So if you see a company that hires for your skill set, you're going to want to do some homework on this company. You're going to want to go over to Glassdoor. You're going to want to check out all their social media profiles. You're going to want to look at some of the people that do that type of job or same job. Look up on LinkedIn and see what they're about. And I guarantee you, as you're doing this homework and your research, you're going to latch on to something that you really like about them. And when you find that thing that goes, that's a good thing. That's impressive. Stop yourself right there and say, how do I know that? Why am I having a reaction to this aspect of this company? What is it about me and my life and the things that I've experienced that is telling me that what they do is good, that is giving me this good feeling? Because that feeling is originating from a life experience of yours that has taught you to have that reaction. There's your connection. That is your connection. I always tell this story about a client of ours here in the program. She wanted to get a job with the Life is Good company. Sorry, guys, it's really cold here today. They've got the AC blasting if you're wondering why I've got rubbing my arms. But she was really into the Life is Good. You guys all know the Life is Good t-shirts. They're a whole brand of t-shirts. And I said, why do you love Life is Good? Why would you love to work there? And it was an amazing company. She said, because I identify with the brand mission. You know, I have a 4-year-old nephew, I think he was 4, whatever at the time. And he was going through a phase where all he would do is eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. He would eat nothing else. He was driving my sister crazy. He would not eat anything else. And she said, so one day I went over to visit them and he opened the door and there he was standing with a peanut butter and jelly sandwich in his hand. And he had a Life is Good t-shirt on with a PB&J. So if you know, life is good when you have what? And I just started to laugh because clearly it was a sign that my sister had got him the t-shirt and just to go with it, right? Life is good. Why get upset? At least he's eating. He likes peanut butter jelly. Life is good. And she said, it just reminded me to not take life so seriously and to recognize what's good in life. And I just get that. And I think that these t-shirts are amazing. I said, there's your story. There's your story about life is good and why you feel so connected to them. There's the story that you put in the disruptive cover letter to get their attention. These are the things that connect you to the brand. This is the story that you tell when you reach out to somebody on LinkedIn and say, I see you work at Life is Good. I have the funniest story to tell you about your product and what an impact it made on my sister's life. Who's not going to accept your connection and talk to you about that? So does everybody see that? I'm sorry to really harp on this, but I know, Sandra, you're looking for this inspiration. Folks, you've really got to train yourself to start to look for the connection. I'm having a reaction. I'm feeling a positive emotion about some aspect of this company. Where is that coming from? It's coming from some sort of story, and that's how you tie it all together. Okay. And obviously, again, when you work with us inside the platform, we can help you with that as well. But, here today, I've got to get you all some ideas of how to do this. So I'm going to stop here because there's nothing like seeing from Khalil Jacobs. I just accepted a job offer last week and I'm starting next Monday. The only problem is I have the attire that should I wear on the first day. If the job is business casual, what should I wear? Well, so first of all, yay, congratulations. That's fantastic news. So happy for you. I would always say whatever you wore to the interview, you should wear that on the first day. It'll probably be the only day that you wear it, right? But if you were dressed up at the interview, go dressed up. You can always take a jacket off and roll up sleeves there, but they'll give you the tour, they'll give you the lay of the land, and then you'll know what you're supposed to dress for. And then you dress the same after that. You can dress just how they tell you to after that first day. But first day on the job, I'd still go very respectful, dress like you did in the interview. It is really, truly a sign of respect. And then they'll tell you exactly what you can and can't wear as part of the orientation. Okay, congratulations, that's great news. All right, going back up here. It looks like my thing jumped ahead here. So forgive me, gang. There's so many of you. Let me see if I can find it. And Camille, I also want to say you got your dream job. So excited about that by using the Work It Daily techniques. That's what we love to have. All right. Question from John Atalo. Again, remember, put question in all caps, folks. Greetings from Nairobi. What should actually be in the summary of a CV or resume? All right. Kenya. That's fantastic. Welcome from Kenya. So the summary, this is a big mistake people make. They think that they're supposed to have this summary paragraph at the top of their resume. Nope, don't do it. Recruiters won't read it. You need what we call a 6-second resume. In Work It Daily, we teach how to do that. And by 6 seconds, we mean when you open it up, when you open the document up, in the first 6 seconds, I can immediately get a snapshot of what your specialty is, what your experience is. That's not going to happen in a paragraph. A long, wordy paragraph, not even going to bother to read it. I'm going to skip right over it and go look for something else on your resume. So you do not want to have a paragraph summary ever, ever, ever. Sometimes I've heard them called the objective statement or the professional summary. None of that. Do not do it. What you're going to have up at the top is a headline that summarizes your skill set, followed by some key skill sets, usually a couple columns of key skills that are transferable. These are the core skills that you use in order to execute the job that you do. Because what that allows me to do as the reader to open it up in 6 seconds and read it like a check mark. Check, 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 check. Okay, I know what this person's specialty is. Now let me go see how they got that experience. Now let me go through the work history and see where they got it. Okay, so you're training that person from the very beginning of your resume to think about you in terms of an area of specialty. And that's important because we hire specialists. We don't hire generalists. We hire people who can solve a particular problem, alleviate a certain pain. And so that top fold, we call it the top fold of the resume, has to be clear and concise and support that. Okay, so no summary paragraphs, headline and key skill sets. Excellent. Let's see here. Hi, Mike. Mike says, looking for internship opportunities is difficult for me since I'm a college student. Do you have any tips for me to land one? Yeah, I will tell you right now. Mike, make a list of all the places you want to work for as an intern. No joke. Create a list of the top 10 places Mike would love to work for. I'm not kidding. Piece of paper. Top 10 places Mike would like to intern for. And I want you to write them all down. And then just earlier, if you were on this video a little bit earlier, I was talking about that connection that you feel for a company. Oh boy, you need to write down why you feel connected to those companies. And I don't want to hear because you heard they're an awesome place to work. Okay. I want to hear what they do deeply impacts you. Even as a college student, as a young professional, you just get so over the moon excited about them, their product, their service. Why? because you've obviously had some sort of life experience. It doesn't have to be work experience. It's a life experience that tells you this company and what they do is important, at least important to you because you have a feeling about it. And I want you to write that all out. And then I want you to find people that work at those companies on LinkedIn, Mike, and I want you to ask them to connect with you. So you got to get your LinkedIn profile updated. You got to get that all good to go. And then you're going to say, we've never met, but I'm a huge fan of the company and I dream of interning there. It's on one of my top, it's on the list of my top 10 companies I dream to work for someday. Can we connect? What you lack for in experience, you make up for in enthusiasm. Most college students are not doing this, and most businesses are looking for exactly that. They want you to be excited about them. It's one of their number one complaints, that college grads aren't excited, that they don't make the effort. It's not brown nosing. It's putting your hand up and saying, what I lack for in experience, I make up for in enthusiasm, pick me. But the only way that's going to happen, Mike, is if you put yourself in the path of the people that could get you introduced to the folks that are doing the hiring for the internships. And a lot of times these companies don't even announce they have internship programs. They get all their interns through referral. So you're never going to get your shot if you don't get referred in. So that's all you need to do. Ask these people to connect and just say, it's literally on my top 10 list of companies I dream to intern for. I would love to share why. Can we connect? Or another one, I'd love to get your advice on what it takes to get hired there someday. I would love to intern there. I see that you're working there. I'd love to get your advice on what you think it takes to get hired there. So ask the person for their opinion. People love to give advice, right? Especially to young professionals. They want to be able to pass on words of wisdom to you so that you can learn from their mistakes. So always be thinking about it that way. Reach out, ask for their advice, let them know how enthusiastic you are, let them know it's on your top 10 list, and then be ready to explain why. That's why you want to do that homework in advance. You will be amazed, absolutely amazed at how well this works. This is not me just making this up. My own brother used this and was successful. He was in college. He was actually getting his MBA, and he needed to get an internship in Boston, and he was in St. Louis. And I bet him his entire cell phone bill, which back in the day, it was a very expensive cell phone bill, that if he just did what I told him and he got up on the phone and started calling, not even emailing, calling these places, asking to speak to the CEO or asking to speak to somebody and telling his story, that he would get an internship. He got 3 offers. 3 offers. So it works. And I'm just suggesting you use LinkedIn now. I'm not even going to make you pick up the phone, but I am going to make you create that list, get excited, and then let them know. Okay, good luck. And if you want help, you know where to find it. You can join us. In fact, it's always a good time for me to do that. So I'm going to take what we call the commercial break, so to speak, and just remind you all what Work It Daily is. If you like this, what I'm doing right now, answering your questions, giving you very specific advice about your career situation, then you need to join Work It Daily. That is what we do. So we have an entire library of video courses that will teach you every step of the process of what you're working on. We have something for everything, whether it's job search, career change, figuring out what you want to do, getting a promotion, maybe you've been fired and you want to learn how to get a new job. There's just always some sort of career problem. There isn't a single career problem that I haven't seen in my 18 years of doing this. So what we do is then coach you on that. You get in a private Slack group, which is a communication channel. If you guys aren't familiar with it, most people are, but if not, great chance to learn. And you work with us one-on-one. And we work through, if it's job search, we work through the job search plan with you. You create your resume, we review it. You create a cover letter, we review it. Your LinkedIn profile, we review it. Your interview prep, we review it. And we work with you so that you can move your career forward and have the confidence that you need and the clarity you need to get what you want. Okay. And we make it affordable. So I know my team is putting some links in there for you. Special discount today for people who watch this, because already we know that you're different, that you're better. You're the kind of person that we want to join. I don't want whiners. I'm going to be perfectly blunt here. I don't want whiners. I don't want complainers. I don't want people who make excuses. I want doers. And I know you're a doer because you're investing your own time and energy to watch this to try to get some help. So that's how I know you're the right person for this program. You're a can-doer. All you need is the right information, tools, resources, and coaching, and you can make things happen for yourself. Those are the people that we want in our program, and we reward you by making it super affordable. To give you an idea, career coaching out there today, you can get charged anywhere from as little as $75 a session to I've seen people charge $500, $1,000 a session. People are spending hundreds and thousands of dollars on resume writers that don't work, on LinkedIn profile writers that don't work, on career coaches that don't work. This gives you 24/7 access and support for a low monthly fee. No setup costs, and you can cancel at any time. We are disrupting career coaching, Trust me when I say the traditional career coaching world does not love me right now for building this, right? Because they want to charge you hundreds of dollars. And we're saying, no, that's crazy. Let's come together as a community. Let's support one another. Myself and the team of experts can support you for a fraction of that cost so that you can get it done. So if you have not checked us out, folks, yet, now's the time. What are you waiting for, right? If you want to see improvement in your career, you need to come be part of the fastest growing online career coaching program in the world. I can absolutely tell you that. We are growing and helping people every single day. And I know we've got a lot of our members on here right now and they can vouch for it, okay? All right, enough of the commercial. Back to answering your questions. Let's keep on going. Let's see. Shout out to Kirby and Superbeat says, what's the best approach for an informational interview? Awesome. So just make sure everybody knows what that is. An informational interview is when you set up a meeting with somebody who has a certain skill or is in a certain industry and you want to learn more, you want to understand it. So first of all, a couple of etiquette things. When somebody's willing to meet with you, you pay for the coffee, you pay for the food, right? They're doing you a favor. And you also want to be super respectful of their time. So if they said they've only got 20 minutes, you keep it to 20 minutes. If they said they can spend an hour, awesome. But always make sure that you end on time, if not a little early, and say that. I want to be super respectful of your time. So I've mapped out the questions that I have for you today, which leads to my next point. You always prep your questions in advance and do your homework. I don't want to see you asking any really basic questions like, so what do you do? So tell me about the industry. This is stuff that you should be able to get basic info on. You want your questions to be more specific. So what is the greatest accomplishment that you've had in this job? Tell me why. What are your 3 greatest strengths? What do you think it takes to be successful? These are going to be more of the kinds of questions that you want to ask so that you can get some really interesting insights from this person. By asking those questions, they're going to do most of the talking and you're going to do most of the listening. You're going to do a lot of smiling and a lot of nodding. Okay. You're going to give them that chance to articulate. And then once you've got all that information that you need, you always want to close by saying how helpful this was. And is there any way you can help them? And most of the time, they're probably going to say, no, I think I'm good. But it's very important that you ask and you say to them, I want to be able to help and return the favor in some way. If there's someone I can introduce you to in my network, or if there's any way I can ever be of assistance in the future, I really hope that you'll think of me. It's important that you articulate that they essentially have an IOU, okay? Because that you want to be able to return the favor someday. Most of the time, they won't need you, though, but it's important you do that. And then lastly, you want to be very, very polite in terms of following up. So you always want to send a thank you note, right? You can send a thank you note by email, or if you prefer handwritten, you can do that as well. It's really important to send them a thank you note and summarize by saying what was one particular thing that they shared with you that was most valuable, because that proves that you are really listening. To say, thank you so much for your time, I really appreciate it, that's not enough. I want to hear, thank you so much for your time. I especially got so much out of it when you talked about how the 4-step process you use for project management has helped you reduce delivery time. That was so intriguing to me. By sharing those little details from what they shared with you, you showed that you listened, and that's really going to make them feel like, oh, I did make a difference. I did have an impact, and that's going to leave a stronger bond. And then lastly, I say it always helps to stay in touch. Anytime you've ever done an informational interview with somebody, let's say you stumble across an article that you think they would find interesting, or a video based on something that you talked about, send it, pay it forward, send it to them and say, hey, I know it's been a while since we spoke, but I saw this article or I saw this video. I thought of you. I thought you might find it interesting. That's a way for you to stay connected, right? So that you can pay it forward to them, but also keep having the conversation going. That's how you stay top of mind, because a lot of times these informational interviews, when done successfully, they lead to job referrals. They say when they think of you for a job, but that's only going to happen if you stay top of mind aware. So also build your strategy for staying in touch in the future. Okay. All right. And I will tell you, we have an entire tutorial in case you're shocked, right? We have an entire tutorial inside Work It Daily that talks you through how to do informational interviews. All right. Tony says, what is the best format to apply for a vacancy via email, Word, PDF, or something else? I personally believe in PDFs because Word documents can open funny. And if you lose the formatting, it just throws you off as a recruiter. You're in a hurry and all of a sudden you kind of see this gobbledygook. I personally suggest PDF. If they ask for a Word doc, then send it as a Word doc. But if they have not specified, always send PDF. Great question, Tony. Sunshine says, I'm trying to get back into my 16-year IT career after a 2-year break, taking care of a parent. Took a part-time job 6 months ago, been looking in IT the last 8 months, almost 3 years. How do I explain? Yeah. Oh gosh. So Sunshine, you are not alone. First of all, Good for you. You know, karma has no deadline. Good karma is going to come back to you because you were taking care of a parent. Never underestimate that, okay? And I will tell you that this is a growing and growing and growing career concern. I have dozens of people inside Work It Daily right now that are dealing with the same thing you are. So anytime we have some kind of gap in our employment, folks, it's troubling. I know it's troubling, but we're discriminated against, plain and simple. Right? If you haven't been working, it's been over 6 months. That's usually around the time that they start to wonder, why don't you have a new job yet? Most recruiters realize that job search takes 6 to 9 months, right? So they don't get too hung up. As the moment you get past 6 months, they start to go, ooh, half a year, that's a long time. So you've really got to be able to explain that. Also, just so you know, if you've been applying online only, you're being completely disqualified because you don't currently have a job in the space. So you're not even getting looked at. The human eye isn't even getting at your resume and application. So this is another reason why, if you watched earlier on in the video session today, I talked about the need to go around the ATS. Somebody in your situation will 100% have to go around the ATS. Because you're going to have to get in front of somebody with a really great story around why you love IT, you know, why you feel so connected to the industry. And then they're going to go, well, gosh, this person has such a great story. What's going on? Why aren't they hired? And then you're going to be able to say, I cared for an ailing parent for 2 years and I took a part-time job to pay bills after the fact. And now I'm just trying to get back in. And boy, I'll tell you, the first company that finally hires me back is going to get somebody that absolutely exceeds their expectations because I want to put this behind me. I don't want to be like this anymore. I miss working. You know, I did what I had to do. I don't regret that. I'm glad that I was able to help, but now I want to get back in. That doesn't come through in an ATS system. That story can't be told digitally. You've got to be able to get around, meet someone, and be able to convey that story. And so that's why I will tell you our process works so well. Because when you're writing these amazing disruptive cover letters and you're getting them in the hands of the hiring manager and they're reading the story going, oh my gosh, you know, Sunshine really gets it. But wait a minute, Sunshine hasn't been working in 2 years. Somebody get her on the phone. We got to find out what's going on. You know, you're going to get the phone call and they're going to ask you, what's been going on? Why the 2-year gap? And you have a really legitimate reason. A really legitimate reason. We do have in some cases too, where we have people added to their resume. We just put that was a job assignment, right? Primary caregiver, you know, and just explain that you were the primary caregiver, full-time support for, you know, an X-year-old, 87-year-old ailing parent, something like that. You know, sometimes it does make sense to explain that as well. But most importantly, I got to tell you, you're going to have to go around the system. You will not get through traditional methods. All right. Look at that. Christo says, I watched a few of your videos and I used what I learned and got my first job. That is what I want to hear. So it's working. So this is another good time for me to explain something to you guys with that in mind. Christo, here's what I need you and everyone else to do. We are hosting a contest. So excited about this. There'll be a video out about it later today. We need to get to 100,000 subscribers here on YouTube. We want to become a certified YouTube partner. There are very few certified YouTube partners in the career and the job search advice space. And in becoming a certified partner, it means more people are going to know that this is really valuable and credible information. Okay, so we want to incent you to follow us and to share with all your friends and ask them to follow us. So here's what we're doing. We just broke 70,000. We've got 70,000 subscribers. When we break 80,000 subscribers, we're going to pick 8 subscribers at random, and they're going to get a free 30-day membership to our program. You're going to work with me and the team of experts inside the program for free for a month, 8 winners. When we hit 90,000, we're going to pull another 9, and they're going to get 30 days free in the program with me and the team. And when we hit 100,000, we're going to pick 10. So almost 30 people are going to get access to our program for free for a month and work with me and the team. And the only way you can do that is if you are a subscriber of this channel. So please make sure that you've subscribed. I'm guessing if you're here that you probably have. But really, the sooner we get there, the sooner we get to the 80,000 mark, the sooner your chances that you could win, okay? Same thing with 90, same thing for 100. The other thing I'm going to tell you, the other reason that you should do this, not just for the contest, is when you share really good videos, information like this, out on, say, LinkedIn, for example, or Facebook, when you share this, it actually elevates your own personal brand. I want you to think about that for a minute. When we share valuable content, we're serving our network. We're giving our network something valuable. They remember who gave it to them. So when they keep seeing you share really good videos, they're going to go, that person really is thinking about this topic and is finding the really good stuff out there and sharing it. So by default, that's a smart person. What we choose to share and put in our feed the quality of the content and the advice says a ton about us as a professional. So I encourage you to pick the videos here that you love the most, get them out there, and tell everyone to come on over and subscribe. Because again, you're going to help us get closer and you could win. But more importantly, it really does help your career. It makes you look good. Okay. All right. So contest is on. Can't wait to break 100,000. All right. Let's see. Another question. I've got one here. I'm going to say the name that reads Zai. I'm probably not saying that right, so I'm sorry. I know I hate when people butcher my name. I apologize in advance. But it says, "Hi, JT. I'm going to have a campus interview from a big company. What should I do to prevent the sponsorship as an obstacle for me to get the job? I'm planning to apply for my green card by myself." Yeah. So here's the thing. We've got a really low unemployment rate right now. The good news is companies are looking more and more to find out how they can do the sponsorship. If this is a big company, they probably are already very familiar with that, so I wouldn't get too hung up on it. But what you really need to do is sell your skills and ability. You need to show them the level of knowledge that you have, experience. You need to have your personality shine and show as a team player. So essentially, you just need to nail the interview. We have a huge interview prep course. I'm not kidding. It's one of the biggest courses in our platform because interviewing is such a big deal. And specifically in there is a very comprehensive unit on behavioral interviewing. So if there's one piece of advice I could give you right now is that you need to study behavioral questions and how to answer them. Because that's what companies are going to do. They want to get inside your head and they want to hear how you deal with things, what your personality is like on the job, what your successes have been. And so they need to hear you articulate that through these behavioral questions. And you need to know how to answer them in order to stand out here, especially if you want to get that sponsorship, because you're going to have to really sell yourself on being the right person. So they say, we can't pass up on this person. We've got to be able to help them get their green card or get their sponsorship. And so in order to do that, you've got to impress them. So it's all about the interview, my friend. Interview prep and specifically behavioral interviewing, because I guarantee you they're going to be asking you a lot of that. Okay? All right. Good luck. David says, what are your thoughts on staffing or temp agencies? And do you have any advice on how to use them? Yes. So just so you all know, before I entered into the career coaching world, I was in HR and recruiting in the staffing industry world. So I'm very familiar with temporary agencies and staffing agencies. And the thing that's great about them is the whole try before you buy mentality. They can send you out on an assignment. You can try out a company. If you hate it, you only have to stay for the assignment. The job's temporary. If you love it, a lot of times they'll take somebody from temporary to permanent. And so it can be a great way for you to forge a relationship with a company that you might not otherwise be able to get into. So there are some advantages to working with agencies. Also, if you've been out of work for a while, it can be a great way to just get back in there, get some income and just be able to say that you're working again. That's always really important. Like I said, companies like to hire people who are working. So there are a lot of advantages to working with agencies. My advice is to do your homework though. So research all the staffing agencies in your area and only focus on 2 or 3 tops. 2 is really the best, but maybe 3 if you have to. Because you don't want to apply to all of them. None of them will work with you. If you apply to all of them, then they're all competing at the same companies to place you. They're not going to want to do that. So you have to identify the 2 with the best reputations. I'd go to Glassdoor and check it out. And usually what you end up doing is picking a national staffing agency. So, a big one like Randstad or Adecco or Manpower, Kelly, those sorts of things. And then a local one. There's always going to be a boutique or a locally owned and operated staffing company. And that way, usually the bigger ones get the national contracts and the bigger companies, and the smaller ones get the local businesses, the privately owned businesses, so that you're going to get 2 different kinds of client bases or potential companies to work for. And you want to reach out to these organizations and say, I'd like to know what it would take to be considered as a, talent for your agency, and see if you can schedule that interview to go in and interview with them. A lot of them will bring you in for an interview, maybe have you do some technology testing to see, can you type, can you use Excel, etc. And then once they know your skills, they can market you. So that's the next phase. But yeah, I've had so many people use staffing agencies as a way to get their foot in the door. I always joke the most famous example of this is my own sister-in-law. She was looking to make a career change in New York, and I pushed her to get into a staffing company, and they sent her on a bunch of different assignments. And finally, she fell in love with one at this little company. She's like, it's a startup, but I think it's got really great potential. It's called the Discovery Channel. This is years ago. And she ended up getting a full-time job with the Discovery Channel. I'm not going to believe it. One of her first shows that she did was Trading Spaces. So you never know what can happen through temporary work, for sure. So definitely check it out. Okay. Hey, Beef Farber. Beef Farber says, when is it too soon to look for another opportunity for someone with multiple past layoffs and stretches of unemployment, feeling worried about the current position of 7 months that may not be the best fit? And I mean, it's never too early. Look, what is the mantra? My mantra in this business since I started is every job is temporary because it's true. They could lay you off tomorrow and you're right back where you started from. I personally believe we should always be looking. And by always be looking, I mean, have our personal brand and work and use our personal brand and network and stay in touch with our industry, our community, our peers. You always need to be networking, folks. You don't get a job and call it quits because you never know, things can change. So I think the right thing for you to do at this stage is to get back out there and network. Attend networking events, industry events, local business events, do research on companies in your area that you admire, create your top 10 list and start to network and just try to meet people there and do informational interviews. You're not looking for a new job. You just admire these companies and want to get to know people that work there and what it's like and what it might take to earn a job there. Laying that foundation now is the fastest way for you to suddenly have a new opportunity fall in your lap. You know, those people that just say to you, oh my gosh, it just fell in my lap. It didn't fall in their lap. They put themselves in the path. That's what they did. And they did it through these networking techniques. Now we have an entire course on this subject. So I would tell you to get inside Work It Daily and study the networking course front to back. I will also tell you all that in the very near future, meaning very, very new, I will be announcing to all of you here our newest course on personal branding. And it is amazing. It is all about how to build your personal brand online. We've been doing this for a really long time. People have been asking us to create this course. Your wishes have been granted. There'll be more on that. But between the personal branding course and the networking course, oh my gosh, you will be a force. And this is how you insulate yourself from unexpected layoffs, recessions, you know, things that happen in your career curveballs, so to speak. You have to have a strong network. Again, your network is your net worth. Your personal brand is your vehicle to success. So start working on that, and you too can be the person that has that job just fall in your lap. Okay, let's see. Christina says, if during an interview, I'd like to ask about how employees receive feedback and not have to wait until annual reviews, how should such questions be asked without raising eyebrows? Great question. Well, I think that it's more a question of you telling them how much you like to receive feedback. So I think there's nothing wrong when you get to the point, do you have any questions for us? They'll ask you that. You can say, definitely. You know, I am somebody that loves feedback. I hate the idea of waiting to the annual review to hear that maybe I'm not doing something correctly. And I would hope that, you know, they would want to tell me, is there a way, or what's the best way as an employee here to seek that feedback on a regular basis? What would you advise me to do so that by the time an annual review came, I would really know that I am doing a great job for the company and hopefully exceeding their expectations. So you're framing it around more like, my goal is to crush my annual review, exceed expectations. And I know in order to do that, I need feedback. So how would I, the employee, how would I put that on myself? What's the right way for me to be able to get that information so that I can use it and apply it and be successful for you in the organization? They're going to love that question. And they're going to tell you exactly what you need to do. All right. Let's see. Let's see. Can I communicate with more than one corporate recruiter in the same company to try for the same position in that company? You can absolutely connect with multiple recruiters in any company, folks, especially if any of you are looking to work at companies that are really large. They're going to have multiple recruiters. There's nothing wrong with establishing relationships with multiple recruiters, but it is important that you figure out which one is hiring for the job that you want and only focus on that one for that job. There's nothing more annoying than somebody talking to another recruiter about a job that's not theirs. And that can actually get you disqualified from the job. So it's okay to reach out to them all, but once you find out which recruiter is the one responsible for that job, that's the one you should be communicating with. April Fool's 505 says, hey, JT, can you give me some advice on how to get into the HR field with a psychology background and a planner coordinator experience? I've been finding it hard to be able to change over. Yeah, I hear you. So most people get into HR first as a planner or coordinator and then get promoted up through. So you're going to find if you want the most traditional path, the easiest path, it is to get in an administrative role, right? An office administrative role within an HR department. And then what you'll do is share the fact that you want to get into HR, maybe take a nice course and get your HR certification, that sort of thing, so that you're aligning yourself, you're taking on tasks, and you're working with the management team there saying, look, my long-term goal is to get into HR. I'd love to get into HR here with you. What can I do to start to prepare myself? Because you're going to, just through being in the department, even in an admin capacity, you're going to learn a lot really, really quickly. And then you're going to start to take on duties and assignments. And next thing you know, you can probably work yourself into a promotion that way. It is the fastest way for you to be able to do that. I will tell you that right now. Now, the best way for you to land those is to start doing informational interviews with HR executives. So you want to start finding people in your local area who are in HR, who have established careers in HR. You want to reach out to them, see if you can take them to coffee or have a brief phone chat. And you want to ask them, what do you think it does it take to get into these entry-level roles in order to work your way up in HR? And they'll offer you some insight, but also if they like your personality and your aptitude and the way you're chatting with them, they'll keep you in mind for opportunities. And this is how you can get referred in. Fastest way for you to get referred in is to do a bunch of informational interviews with people in the HR space. Okay? You can do this. Don't give up. But as I say all the time here, put yourself in the path, folks. Nobody's going to do it for you. Put yourself in the path of the people that can get you referred. And that means having a conversation with them. All right. Let's see. Do you have a Slack group that provides support to professionals in accounting, tax, finance industry? Well, we actually work with tons of them. So Christina, I mean, literally there are hundreds of people inside the Work It Daily community right now that are either in finance, tax, accounting, etc. And our staff, our coaching team is familiar enough to help you. So what you do is you send in, hey, this is the job description. This is the type of job I'm looking for. And then we can help you brainstorm ideas of what you would want to share inside that cover letter. And then you can draft it from there. So definitely want to do that if you're a member of the platform. Mark says, question, JT, if you're over 55, should you dye your hair to look younger? Any tips for the 55 plus job seekers? Wow. Okay. So, you know, my challenge, Mark, is that I'm just never one to say, hey, I think you have to dye your hair in order to look younger. I struggle with that. That is going to be your call. It's a confidence thing. The most important thing that you should do is feel like the best possible you. Here's what I'm going to tell you all right now. If you don't feel good about what you're putting out there into the world and how you look, you're going to lack confidence. There's a famous quote, I use it all the time, from Doris Day, and it's people hear what they see. We know it. We know it. People hear what they see. We judge so much of the time, for right or wrong, based on appearance. Do we not, folks? We know it. So we know if we judge, if we see somebody and they look a certain way and we're making immediate assumptions about them, we know others are making immediate assumptions about us. What you have to ask yourself, Mark, and everyone else on this call today, is what assumptions do you want people to make about you in the professional world? Think about if they were only to see you and not talk to you, what is your hair, your makeup, your jewelry, your choice of clothing? What are these things saying about you? And you have to create a look that you are comfortable with. This is something that everyone on this call should be taking time to invest in. It's called a brand. It is your brand. And you want to ask yourself, is that the brand? Do I feel good about that brand? And what message does it send? Then you have to ask yourself, the audience that I'm looking to impress, the audience that I'm looking to bond with, that I want to get hired from, what brand are they looking for? Does my brand match up? And there within, you have to find and make the compromises that will make you keep your confidence, but also speak to the audience that you're looking to get hired from. Okay. So I'm going to give you a great example. I had a seasoned professional. He absolutely loved to wear 3-piece suits, have a little flair going on with the pocket square. He was that guy, right? He just loved that polished button-up look. All right. The problem was that his look was dated, right? It was from an older time period, and it was giving that older appeal for the kinds of places he was looking to work for, right? He's in sales, and he felt like, oh my gosh, this is my look. I'm not changing my look. So we went back and talked a little bit about what got you in love with this look. Like, why are you tied to it? And he said, I love to have a little flair. I love to look a little different so that, people are just, take notice more. I said, well, if you could create a look that's more updated, more business casual, right? Not the 3-piece suit, not the silk coming out, but it still had a look that caught attention, wouldn't it achieve the same goal? So he was sent out with the mission of create a business casual look that gives you that flair feel. And once he was able to do that, guess what? He's meeting the needs of the audience and he was meeting the needs for himself. This is no simple thing, but guess what? Anything worthwhile doing isn't simple. And so I guess my not so simple answer to you, Mark, is that if dyeing your hair is something you're willing to do that you believe is going to send the better message, then it's okay to do. But if you're going to lose your confidence over it, then that's not worth it. You've got to really make all these things sync up. Okay? So sorry, I wish I could give you an easier answer than that, but the answer I give you, that's the truth. You got to find a way to sync the two so you can keep your confidence. Okay. Oh my goodness, guys. Just a few more minutes here and we'll have blown through our hour. Where does it go? Just a reminder, if you want to join us today, what are you waiting for? Special deal for you today if you sign up. And please do not leave here today without subscribing. That's the only way that you can be part of our contest where you might win 1 free month inside the platform with me and the team of experts. Okay. Awesome. Okay. Very good. Let me see. Dean. Okay. I've had a whole bunch of things that jumped ahead here. Bear with me for a second, folks. So many questions. I'm trying to get back through. It jumped forward on me here. I can't find it. I'm trying to find you all. I'm sorry. This is what happens. Losing you. See, I wouldn't have this problem if you were inside the platform. Kayla says, any advice for a second interview where you meet the team and see the facility? I'm one of the top 3 candidates. Okay, so here's the thing you need to know about the interview process first. The first interview, the phone screen, for example, is just to make sure that you have all the basic needs and that your personality isn't too scary. Plain and simple. They're trying to weed out if you're just not a fit in some really big, extreme, obvious way. Then you're going to have an in-person interview. Maybe it's over the phone. It's a more detailed phone, or it's an in-person interview. This is start to say, can I see working with this person? Would this person fit within the organization? Then you're getting to those second round tour type of interviews. Maybe it's second or third, but Kayla, the level you're at is the one I'm talking about here. Now, this is the one where they've narrowed it down and they're trying to compare apples to oranges. They've got 3 different candidates here. They're having to try to look and assess all of them and say which one, they're all good. It's not that there's anything wrong with you, Kayla. It's not if you don't get this job, there's anything wrong with you. Oh, on the contrary, you made it to the finalists. It's just they've got to decide which one's got the right combination for them right now. So they're going to be really kicking the tires at this interview. They're going to be asking you a lot tougher questions. They're going to be asking you behavioral questions. They're going to be looking at your reaction to the tour of the facility. They're really looking to see how much you're diving in and connecting with what's happening there. Are you starting to feel like a team member? Are you asking the types of questions that a really smart team member would ask? Are you offering up responses and answers that really sync with what you're seeing and the people that you're talking to? Some advice there, obviously, is to really pay attention to all the people that are involved in this phase of the interview, because anybody that you're introduced to or spend time with on that interview has some sort of decision-making factor in whether or not you're going to get hired. Do not discount or dismiss anyone. Everyone you meet, your job at that company would impact them in some way. Your goal is to figure out how that is. What is that? So how would my job impact yours? Those are the questions you want to ask to all the people that you meet on this particular round. You want to hear it and you want to be able to articulate that you understand what your job would be if they were to choose you, because that is essentially what you're trying to make happen. Okay. So really important phase of the interview that you're at. Pay attention, ask great questions, and really focus in on every single person you meet and how the job you would be doing could support them and make their lives easier, because that's the only way they're going to vote for you. Okay. Great question. All right, couple more questions here. Woo. Let's see. Dean says, I'm about to hit my 1-year anniversary out of work. I had a few phone interviews and 5 in-person interviews, been competing with as little as 3 other people, but no one has pulled the trigger. Yep. So you know what, Dean, you're doing a lot right. First of all, if you're getting interviews, that's a good thing. If you're making it to the finalists, that's a good thing as well. It's really hard to get feedback from employers. They're not comfortable doing it, especially when they haven't chosen you for the job. I always tell people, how would you feel? You go out, you decide you're going to buy a $5,000 television. You go out to 3 stores, you research, you buy it. All of a sudden, out of the blue, the store that you didn't buy from calls you up and says, could you tell me why you didn't buy from us? You may want to give that information, but it's awkward, and you're kind of like, well, it's not my job to do that. Well, that's how employers feel. So I really don't ever encourage people to do that. Other coaches may say, ask for feedback. I personally don't think you should. What I do think you want to do is use the opportunity to show your character. So when you get rejected, all those companies that you didn't get picked from, the first thing you want to do is thank them for telling you, because they don't have to. So you really want to gush about the fact that you appreciate their honesty and that they told you. Second thing is you want to tell them that you're happy for them. And you say, as much as I'm disappointed I didn't get the job, I'm just happy you found the right person because you deserve it. You're a great organization to work for. I would have loved the chance, but I'm just glad you found somebody that fits your needs, right? So you're going to be the bigger person. And the third and the most important step in the process is to ask them how to stay in touch. You want to say, I really enjoyed the interview experience with you, even though I didn't get the job. And I meant it. I want to work for you someday. What can I do to be proactive? Can I touch base with you once every few months? Is there a way, can I reach out to you if I see a job posting in the future so that I can reapply? What can I do? That shows them that this wasn't a one and done situation for you, that there were no hard feelings, and that you're willing to invest in building a relationship with them so that maybe in the future you can work together. I can't tell you how many job seekers are not doing that. Most of them don't. Most of them don't know to do that, right? Again, we don't get taught this stuff. Go back to all the companies that you met with in the last year, had interviews, reach out and check in. Tell them you love the experience. You're so glad they found the right person, but you wanted to make sure that you could stay on the radar and the screen in the future. And what can you do? See what happens. You don't know how many times the person doesn't work out. The first pick doesn't stay. They end up taking a different job, or they weren't all they said they were. And now the company's back to square one looking for someone. Do you think they want to go through the hiring process again? No way. They want to hire somebody like you who's already been through the process, because now they really need that person. So don't think that all those opportunities are dead in the water yet. Really nurture those conversations, the network connections that you made. You never know what can come out of that. And I've seen that happen so much. I would not be giving you that advice if I didn't know it really works. Okay. All right. Wow, folks. So another hour gone by. I'm sorry. I know I didn't get to answer all the questions. That's just kind of part of it here. This is a free session that we do once a week, but there are challenges with it. If you want to make sure that your questions are getting answered, then you need to join us. And I know my team's been posting the information there. That way, you're going to be able to work with me and the team of experts, get your questions answered privately. You don't have to do it here, and really keep your career moving forward. All right. I want to thank everyone that subscribed today, and really ask you, please, please, please share the information out there. Ask your friends, your family, your colleague, your social network to subscribe to the channel. You're doing them a favor. You're giving them good quality advice, and you're also helping increase the chances, right, that you or someone you know might win a free 30 days inside our platform as well. Okay. So really appreciate it if you would share it. Our goal is to get to 100,000 subscribers and be one of the very few certified channels giving good, solid career advice here on YouTube. So it's a lot of fun advice out on YouTube, right? I mean, gosh, you can get lost for hours watching YouTube. It's so much fun. But we also think there's room on YouTube to really help people change their lives. And we can only do that with your help. So I want to thank you in advance for doing that. Okay, everyone, I hope you have a fantastic week. I will see you again next week for another office hours. And until then, just remember, what do we tell you? If you want to win, you've got to work it daily. All right. Take care, everyone. Bye-bye.